What's going on? It's your girl C-Positivista. Welcome back to another video. So in this video, I want to talk about how to develop emotional intelligence. Having emotional intelligence, it will help you to be able to manage your emotions. It will be able to help you communicate effectively with others. It will help you be able to manage stress easier. When you understand your character, you understand what you like, what you do not like. You understand the types of situations that you would like to put yourself in and the type of situations that you wouldn't want to put yourself in. And essentially, you could also get a better understanding of how you would react in certain situations. It's all about you knowing yourself, you having that awareness of self, like within your character and within your emotions. If you know that something makes you feel sad or makes you feel a certain way, you're not going to put yourself in that particular situation. When you get a better understanding and you're well aware of why you are the way that you are, or why you react or think the way that you do, it will be easier for you to manage certain things, certain conflicts. It'll be easier for you to communicate with others effectively as well. What I've learned with self-awareness is that whenever I had an issue, I would always go and share it with someone. Now I'm a lot more aware of that. So what I tend to do is I journal. I'm journaling a lot, and with journaling, I'm able to go back and just see how far I've come in terms of my journey. Like I've been able to go back to the journals and read back to last year even, or the year before that, and I've been able to kind of see how far I've come, how much growth there's been, where it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I used to think like that, or I can't believe I was planning to do ABC. So it's important for you to be mindful. Practice mindfulness and try to understand, really study yourself. Self-awareness is about you studying yourself, studying your characteristics, studying your feelings, your emotions. Be a student of self. Understand yourself. Seek to understand yourself. And so many times we hear things like, be yourself, just be yourself. How can you be yourself if you don't know yourself? By you not knowing yourself, you limit yourself, because certain behaviors are learned behaviors. A lot of the things that have happened to us, a lot of circumstances that we've been through, we could look at it and say, okay, well, those things have shaped me to be this person. In the same breath as well, you can see it from this perspective. You are not those situations. You are not what happened to you. You are not what they said to you or what they said about you. Growing up, I used to hear a lot of name calling. For example, that I weren't smart enough, with school. I had a lot of issues with school and things like that from an early age. So when I got to university now, I faced a lot of self-doubt. I faced a lot of just internal conflict, where it's like, although I had gotten in, I was now studying the course, I still felt within myself that I wasn't good enough. I still felt within myself that I couldn't do it. And it was like imposter syndrome hit, where it was like, what am I doing here? Like I said to myself that I weren't good enough, and I was essentially just repeating those things that was said to me. That's not who I am. That's not who I was. But that's why it's important for you to get to know yourself, because when you get to know yourself, you will know that you're not those things that you were called. You will know that you're not the person that they said you were. It's about you knowing who you are, and that's how confidence builds, and that's how you build your confidence, and that's how you become more and more aware of yourself. Study yourself. Learn to regulate your emotions. So I'll give you an example. In a situation where you're angry, you're fired up, it's like the emotions are going to come. Like the emotions, it's inevitable. You'll be put in situations where you're angry, you're uncomfortable, you're upset. However, you need to find techniques, figure out things that work for you. Other people do breath work. I do a lot of breath work. Go for walks, walk away. It's like sometimes you have to speak to yourself. It's an internal conversation that you constantly have to do it. And it's like when you're in a situation, it's so easy for you to get round up. Like it's so easy for you to get wound up and rowdy. and and abrupt, where it's like once the situation is over, you're thinking, but that's not me. That's not me. I wouldn't normally do that. It takes time and it takes work. It doesn't happen overnight. It really does not happen overnight. So you need to regulate yourself. You need to learn how to regulate your emotions. If you need to count to 10, count to 10. It may sound silly, but do what works for you. Find a technique, and when you find yourself in that situation, and that switch clicks when you're angry, learn to regulate. Learn to regulate your emotions, because there are things that are going to make you angry in this world. There are people that are going to annoy you in this world. There are people that are going to push buttons and push and see how far they can push you. But you need to know yourself. You need to know how to handle your own emotions. And I cry. Okay, I cry. You won't catch me crying in front of you, but I will cry whenever I'm by myself, or whenever, after a situation. However, what I have taught myself is to be strong and to be brave in that particular moment. In that moment, I'm going to count to 10. In that moment, and it's always an internal thing. It's not out loud, but it's you just regulating. It's you just breathing. It's you just keeping your mouth closed and not saying anything, because you know that your mouth is just lethal. With me personally, my mouth is lethal. I understand the power that I have to, and the thing with the tongue is that it can build you, it can build someone, or it can break someone. And I never want to be the one to break someone's spirit. So I just don't say nothing. In the situation, that in that type of situation, I just don't say nothing anymore. Walk away if you can. I go for walks. I will go for walks, because you cannot stress me. I will go for walks. And the thing is, it's all about you teaching yourself techniques, practicing. If something bothers you, talk about it. Be open about it. However, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Learn to motivate yourself. When you motivate yourself, the dialogue that you have with yourself, the conversation that you have with yourself needs to be positive. It needs to be positive. It's important that the dialogue, the conversation you have with yourself is very much positive, because when you're having that positive conversations, you will realize that later on, when a situation happens, you will hear your voice echoing back to you those positive things that you said about yourself. Same with negative. If all you do is just speak to yourself negatively, when you find yourself in a low situation, when you find yourself in a low circumstance, like, allow the positive to be louder than the negative. Allow yourself to have more positive conversations with yourself. And I know it sounds weird at first. It's like, oh, really? Like, I'm here talking to myself? Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. One of the most important things in this life, if you don't take anything away from what I'm going to say in this video, take this away. Learn to speak to yourself. Speak to yourself. Have conversations with yourself. And it's a thing where you don't have to look in a mirror and having this face to face. If that helps, then do that. You've got people who do post-it notes and write cute little messages to themselves. You've got apps as well that can send you little cute inspirational quotes here and there. Do what it is that you need to do in order for you to constantly be receiving that positive communication, that positive affirmations, those positive words. Fill yourself up with positive words. Literally, when you wake up in the morning, visualize yourself as an empty cup. And as the day is going, fill up that cup with positive words, whether it's positive music, where the lyrics are just speaking wonderful things, and you're singing them back, and you're referring to yourself as you're singing it. Be filling up that cup. Be filling up that cup. By the end of the day, that cup should be full. And if it's not full, do your affirmations before you go to bed, and then call it a night. Do the same thing the following day. I'm telling you, these things work. These things work. Inner conversations is one of the most important things that you will need to do in this life, because when you're down, yourself, your subconscious self will remind you of those things that you said. You know, don't be down because you're a boss. You know, don't be down that you're great at this. You're good at this. You can do it. Like, use positive words. Motivate yourself. Develop empathy. Learn to listen actively. Actively listen to others. Don't just listen to others so that you can argue. Don't just listen to others so that you can try figure out in your mind, you know, how you can get one up on them. No. Like, really listen, really understand what this person is saying. And if you feel like you don't understand, ask them to repeat it. Ask them, oh, what do you mean by that? Or what does that mean? What is that for you? Ask follow-up questions. If you don't understand, don't just take what someone said and yeah, that's it. Well, they said what they said. No, really seek to understand, especially if you're trying to build a relationship, if you're trying to maintain and, you know, sustain a sustainable relationship. It's important for you to have these conversations. It's important for you to listen, have empathy. Everyone is going through something. Everyone has gone through something. You've got people walking around with trauma. You know, learn to understand. Learn to understand. And some things you just won't understand, but just listen. Sometimes you just need to be a listening ear. It's not about what you're gonna say back. Sometimes just listen, ask follow-up questions, and then act accordingly. Because trust me, when you listen, people will tell you exactly what they're thinking. Just if you listen, all you have to do is listen. Like, do you know how many times I've had people let me know their intentions just by listening? Literally, just by listening. I've just listened to them, and people will tell on themselves. They'll tell on themselves, and they don't know that they're telling on themselves. They don't know they're telling on themselves, but they're just speaking. So you just listen. You just listen and let them tell on themselves. And when you ask follow-up questions, you'll find that they're even shocked that they said that. That's not what I meant. And it's like, I already heard you the first time. Try to strengthen your intuition. Strengthen your intuition. That inner voice. What's that inner voice telling you? If something feels off, trust me, it is off. And I know that there's times where it's like, oh, you know, you're just being paranoid, or a lot of the times you're not being paranoid. So the more you get to know yourself, the stronger that voice, that inner voice is. So learn to listen to that. A lot of the times that voice will lead you to where it is that you're going, where it is that you need to go. There's so many times where I've not listened to my intuition and I've just ended up in such a like messed up situation. And it's just like, if only I had listened. If only I had listened to my intuition. So strengthen that voice. And the way that you strengthen that voice is quietness, is being still. It's you focusing on your breath. It's you going on walks. Don't have any music on. Just go for walks. You will be so surprised. You'll be so surprised by the voice that you hear inside of yourself. You'll be so surprised by the inner dialogue. Sometimes I practice silent meditation where I'm in the house all day and I'm not saying anything to anybody. I'm just doing things, and then I will hear like songs in my mind, and sometimes I'm like, oh, that song is quite toxic. That song is quite toxic. And it's so important for you to catch those things, because that way you're able to say, okay, I'm gonna change my song choice. I'm gonna change my song choice because I don't want to be toxic. I don't want to be like that. In fact, those lyrics are just not even, it's not given. Your past plays such a strong role, such a big role on the person that you are now. And with that, try to really, because sometimes some of the things that might have happened to you, you might not understand it, but find peace. Seek to find peace. Things will just reveal themselves to you. So find peace. A lot of things are not personal. learn to take your emotions out of the equation a lot of the times, especially at work. And I've definitely been guilty of it, but I'm still learning, and we're still learning, right? So it's important for you to just to learn to differentiate the difference between the version of you in the work environment and the version of you in your personal life. These two cannot intertwine. Like, these two have to be separate. Another way that you can improve your self-intelligence is to constantly reflect. Give yourself, give yourself some time, maybe at the end of the day, at the end of your day, you're laying down in bed, that time, that hour where everyone's gone to bed, the lights are off. Really use that time to reflect and think to yourself, like, think about where you're looking to go. When you have goals, and you can also look at where you currently are right now, it's like, okay, this is where I want to be. What type of, how do you want to be? Where do you want to be in 10 years time, 5 years time? Where do you want to be in your mind? How do you see yourself? How do you see your character? What type of person do you want to be? Do you want to be someone of integrity? Do you want to have more discipline? Are you someone who struggles to say no? Is this something that you want to practice more of? Practice saying no. I literally gave myself a task one time, and I said to myself, you know what, for the next week, anything that anyone asks me, I'm gonna say no. Whether it's inviting me out, whether it's if I can let them borrow something, whether it's, whatever it is people asked me that week, I said no. And same with yes, if I'm being offered something, if I'm being invited to go out, I also had time where I was just like, yeah, let's go to Portugal, yeah, let's go. So sometimes it's like, do you say yes enough? Do you say yes enough? And other times, do you say no enough? So it's about you kind of finding that balance and really going inside of yourself and kind of just thinking to yourself, okay, what am I currently struggling with now? So think about what you're currently struggling with, and whatever it is you're struggling with, work on yourself. It's going to take time. It really is going to take time, but put it into practice. And when you're doing self-development work, a lot of people around you might switch up on you. They might change their behaviors towards you because they see that you're no longer the same. You're no longer accepting the same disrespect that you used to before. It's just about you understanding that, you know what, some of these people may not come with you where you're going. But that's a conversation for another video. We're really gonna chop it up. But yeah, for the purposes of this video, that's all I'm gonna say on that. Look for examples, like seek for examples. Who do you see around you? Do you have family members? Do you have, siblings, friends, anyone, mentors around you who you feel like, yeah, I like this person's character, or I like the way that this person is, and and I want to be a little bit more like that. Study their behavior, study other people's behavior as well, because emotional intelligence is not just about you understanding yourself and you understanding your character. It's also about understanding other people's characters, understanding other people's patterns, because you also have patterns and so do other people. So when you're able to understand certain people's behaviors, certain people's patterns, you're able to communicate with them in a better way. You're able to interact with them in a better way because you see how they are. Some people will show you exactly who they are. All you have to do is listen and observe. And it's just the same way that you study yourself, study others as well. When you figure out what triggers you, you will know that, okay, all right, this is what I need to work on. Make it a goal for you to constantly study yourself and understand your character and understand your emotions and why you do the things that you do and the way that you do it and why you think the way that you do. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, click on that like button and subscribe to this channel for more video content.